Carriers were employed by railway companies to transport goods to and from the station. The wages were poor, so it's unlikely that Louisa's father was any better off than Herman. Julian can only assume that Louisa's pregnancy was the cause of her ostracism from her family.
It's like reading a jolly good novel. You know, I lie in bed at night speculating. A wedding day, was that a desperate thing for her? Was it an embarrassing thing, being 6 months pregnant? Was it a joyful thing because she was marrying the man she wanted? The way I see it is that the marriage was disapproved of, but she was determined to do her own thing, like young women do. And she was going to marry him anyway, and she was going to live with him because she loved him. And it's a love story of sorts, and it's with a sad ending. My mother hangs out at the Bowls Club, which is a sort of youth club for the mature. And I want to find out about my other great-grandmother. I've quite got the taste for resurrecting people now. And I know very little about her. I know she was called Teresa, and she was fairly formidable, quite posh.
After discovering the poverty faced by his father's ancestors, Julian is keen to find out more about his mother's side of the family. In particular, his great-grandmother, Teresa.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
You know why I'm here?
Yes, I do. Nice of you to come.
Come with me.
That's my grandmother. She was somebody who was very fussy and particular and knew the correct way of doing things, which seems to have been transmitted to my mother. If you know what I mean, my mother knew the right way to set the table and the right way, manners and things were of utmost importance to her.
Yes, and I wasn't allowed to turn my fork over either, so that's...
Well, of course.
That's something that's come from her, I should think.
From her side of the family, I just felt that there was some artistic trend. Well, that's what I'd like to think.
Thank goodness, because it's all rough, vulgar poverty on the other side.
Oh, well, I should not believe it if you come up with poverty and vulgarity on my side.
Well, I'm thrilled to know I've got a relative that had an air of class and sophistication. That sounds more like me. It's strange that no one knows what her own background was. When she swanned around being rather grand, but who knows, was she bred into that, or had she been to drama school or something to learn it all? That's a mystery that needs to be unravelled a bit.
Julian's sister Frances has found portraits of their great-grandmother Teresa and her husband Charles.
Right.
I'll put that there for you.
OK. Well, I thought you might be interested in this, seeing as you're doing this programme. Do you remember Grandma gave me these photographs?
Yes, I remember seeing them.
Sort of photograph paintings. So, this is Charles Long.
This is Charles, her gorgeous husband.
Yes, with a lovely moustache. And this is... Well, it says Charles as well.
Yeah, she's Teresa.
Of course. It was him that signed it.
Fine figure of a woman.
Yeah.
She looks very intelligent.
I think she looks like she's got a bit of money as well. But she certainly doesn't look poor, does she? Well, you wouldn't have a photograph, I suppose, a self-portrait.
Very cool looking.
I think slightly arrogant, actually, but I suppose the tilt of her head.
Posh.
Posh.
Julian's ordered his great-grandparents' marriage certificate in the hope it will reveal more about Teresa's family background.
1881. Oh, on the 26th of December, Charles Edmund Long, who was 24, married Teresa Walter, who was 20, in Marylebone. He was a photographer. Oh, she was an artist. She was living in Circus Street in Marylebone. Very nice too. He was from Cheltenham. It's a bit boring, isn't it? And her father, Peter Walter, was a hair merchant. An artist. Daughter of a hair merchant. Sounds like a euphemism. I think my mother would be pleased. It's the sort of thing she'd have hoped for. And marrying on Boxing Day, that sounds quite sort of a fun thing to do as well. And I don't think she was up the duff, which makes a change for some of my ancestors.
Julian's arranged to meet Alex Werner, an expert on Victorian London, to find out about Marylebone life in the 1880s.
Are you Alex?
Hello.
Hello there.
Yeah, hello, Julie. Nice
Hello.
to meet you.
Is this St Mary's?
This is St Mary's, yes.
Well, good Lord, I used to live just up the road, and I never knew. This is according to the certificate, where my great-grandmother married my great-grandfather in 1881. St Mary's Church, that's here.
St Marylebone.
And I can't find in the A to Z where her address, Circus Street. There's a Circus Mews.
Right. Well, if you follow me, I think we might have found you something.
Oh.
Just near here. Now, if you just come over, you've just got to cross the road here.
Okay.
Note the pub here on the left-hand side. And then
Oh, look.
just under Enford Street, can you
Yes, I
just
can.
make it out?
Circus Street. So they just changed the name. Oh, it's charming. Is this it? So all she had to do was nip across the road in her frock. How lovely.
Now, one thing that we did here, we actually asked the owner whether we could get inside, and he's very kindly lent us the keys so we can go and have a look. If you like to have a look inside?
We don't have to make small talk with the owner.
No, no, no.
Yes.
Would you like to open the door?
Yes, that would be great. That would be a cheap thrill.
You have to turn it a couple of times.
It's very well kept, isn't it? She was an artist. Can you throw any light on what that would have meant?
This was a period when people were sort of wondering what professions women could take on. An artist was one of the respectable professions for women, and if your father had enough money, she might well have been sent to a private art college or to one of the government colleges.
But this was a respectable neighbourhood, was it?
This is a sort of mixed area. It's on the edge of a very, very wealthy part of London. And you have to get sort of a sense of this being in a respectable area, yet one of the smaller streets, away from the very luxurious squares with these big, big houses around them. This is just a little bit to one side of that.
But it could have been a lot worse.
The daughter of a successful tradesman, Teresa would have come into contact with the Marylebone elite who lived just a few streets away. Nearby Hyde Park would have been the perfect place for Teresa to study her well-to-do neighbours and adopt their airs and graces.